So today we're going to be continuing our series where we create a futuristic map of the United States. I've seen lots of comments asking for this video, so here I am finally making it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get right into it. So in the last futuristic video, we had our first major conflict over here in the West Coast, with all of the old Californian city-states going to war with California and Nevada. We also had states like Utah and Arizona jump in, and it was the biggest war so far. Another thing that happened in the last video was Texas expanding and gaining all of its old land back. After this happens, US states start to make an alliance. These states consist of Wyoming, eastern Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Florida was opted to join, but they declined, stating that they don't want to be in an alliance. Another state that declined was western Colorado, who declined, saying that they are improving relations with Texas. Over in the east, both Alabama and Georgia are suffering economically after losing a lot of land to Florida. Together, they come together and unite and form the southern states of America. No, this is not the same South that happened in real life. This is a new South that is just based off of Georgia and Alabama. From here, the new union starts sending requests over to South Carolina and New Orleans. New Orleans declines the union, but South Carolina opts to join. Right before South Carolina joins this new union, North Carolina declares war on them. This in turn causes the South to join South Carolina, and from here we have another big war that's about to break out. While troops up here are mobilizing, Florida decides to join the side of North Carolina. Up north, Virginia opts to protect South Carolina. From here, Tennessee and Kentucky join on the side of North Carolina. Delaware and Ohio join on the side of Virginia, which then leads Michigan to declare war on Ohio, and Wisconsin to declare war on Michigan. So you can see that this is the Eastern War. First off, we had the Western War, where all these Western states fought it out. Now we have the Eastern War, where even more countries are going to get involved. The final two countries to join are Pennsylvania and New York City. The reason these two join is because they are improving relations with Ohio. Ohio just helped them both win a war against their, upstate New York and former Civil War selves. If this wasn't obvious already, the reason Delaware joins is because Virginia helped them out against Maryland. Therefore, Delaware and Virginia now have a better relationship. And I'm pretty sure that these fights right here are self-explanatory. So right off the bat, we have North Carolinian troops moving down into South Carolina. These troops right here have had much more time to prepare, while these troops up north are just now getting ready. North Carolina continues its push into the south, while down south, Florida starts to push up north. In the Midwest, Michigan starts its push into Ohio, and Wisconsin starts to push into its old territory. Down south, the new union has a little bit of success pushing into Florida, gaining a coastline and access to the sea. While up north, it isn't going so well, as Florida and North Carolina have now connected through a spearhead. A little bit up north, Virginia starts a push into North Carolina, taking over its northeastern part. Meanwhile, Kentucky starts a push across the river and into Ohio, while on their eastern front, they start a push into Virginia. Back up north, Michigan is pushing out Wisconsin, while down south, Ohio is pushing out Michigan. From here, they push into Toledo and start taking over Michigan. Back down south, North Carolina and Florida continue to make progress against the south, while over here in the panhandle of Florida, the south is making a little bit of progress against Florida. Up north, Virginia continues a push into North Carolina, taking out their coast. From here, they start a full-on invasion of northern North Carolina. Back in southern Ohio, Ohio manages to push back Kentucky, while in southwestern Virginia, Kentucky continues to push in. Back up in Michigan, Ohio continues to push into Michigan, taking over cities such as Detroit. From here, they managed to convince Indiana to join the war in order to get land from Michigan and possibly Kentucky. Now with combined forces, Indiana and Ohio start a bigger push into Michigan. Meanwhile, in Wisconsin, Michigan sends their troops down to capture the coast of Wisconsin. Immediately after they do this, their troops are withdrawn and sent back to mainland Michigan. The reason for this is that they want to protect their mainland and hopefully not lose any more cities. So this allows Wisconsin to push in and easily take over lots of land. Further over to the east, Michigan starts to push back Ohio and Indiana. Now they have all of their troops on the front line. Back down south, the blue team is having a little bit of progress, as they have now managed to get back some of their land over here. While South Carolina has had a little bit of success getting some land back, they've also lost some land to Florida, but they've also gained back a coast. Back in Virginia, Kentucky continues to push in, although they are having some problems moving through the Appalachian Mountains. Up north, Wisconsin manages to easily take out Michigan's Upper Peninsula, while down south, Michigan starts to fall back due to Ohio and Indiana's advance. After losing Lansing and many other important cities, Michigan surrenders. This is good news for the blue team, as now Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio are now sending their troops down south. Speaking of down south, North Carolina is starting to push back Virginia. Eventually, they are pushed back to their borders and start an advance up north. Down south in Florida, there is also progress being made, as Florida pushes up into South Carolina and the southern states even more. Tennessee also starts their own push down south. Now with more troops on the front line, the blue team starts a push into Kentucky. They manage to completely push them out of Virginia, and a push through is started. Eventually, Kentucky falls, and the troops are being lined up on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. Speaking of North Carolina, they are getting closer and closer to Virginia's capital, and eventually make a spearhead up to it. They managed to take the capital of Virginia and start an even bigger push in. The good news for Virginia, though, is that all of these troops are now being sent into Virginia, and the pushback begins. They manage to kick North Carolina out of the capital and start an advance into North Carolina. First, they take the coast in the Outer Banks, and start another push toward North Carolina's capital. Down south, the southern states are completely wiped out, and South Carolina is on the brink of capitulation. Also, just to say that these states are not at war, this is the alliance color. So these states aren't in the war, this is just the alliance color. Midwestern troops are now starting to push into Tennessee. They swoop down and take Nashville, and eventually Tennessee surrenders. From here, a full-on push into North Carolina is started, and eventually the capital falls. The good news is that South Carolina has now just surrendered, which means North Carolina can move their troops up north and maybe fight back this front line. They manage to push up and take back a little bit of land, but eventually start to fall back. Eventually, North Carolina is wiped out, and Florida is the last state remaining. So none of these blue states really joined on the side of these southern states. So if a peace treaty were to occur right now, South Carolina wouldn't really get affected. So they managed to talk to Florida and they negotiate a peace treaty, which literally is just Florida annexing the southern states. So from here, we just have the rest of the blue states remaining and a sieged out South Carolina. Now since North Carolina surrendered, this South Carolina siege is over and they can start negotiating a peace treaty. So when it comes to a peace treaty here, we actually have a pretty interesting deal. Starting up north, we have Wisconsin taking back their old lands and the upper peninsula of Michigan. A little bit over east, we have Indiana taking a bit of Michigan and Ohio taking a bit of Michigan. Down south, we have both Indiana and Ohio again taking land from Kentucky. Over in Virginia, they gain land from Kentucky, a little bit from Tennessee, and a little bit from North Carolina. While South Carolina is unified with the North, and this is under a South Carolinian government. For the rest of the states that were involved, which was Kentucky, Tennessee, and a little bit of North Carolina, they are forced into a union. So this is our new map of the U.S. Some of the lines are getting a little bit faded, and that's because that I had to redraw these on a different map. The first map got deleted, so I had to go into a video, take a screenshot, and then trace it over a map. It was really hard to do. So over in the Midwest area, or is this just the northern area? I don't know what it's called. But we have North Dakota and South Dakota forming a union. This is primarily because the two countries are kind of scarcely populated, don't have a lot of tourists, and are just not very strong economically. So a union would probably better off both of them. Over in Cascadia, we have the old country of Washington and Oregon deciding to form a union. This is once again caused by economical purposes. I mean, these guys just lost a war down here to the coastal areas of the country. They also lost all their major cities over here to the coastal countries, so a union would also help them out. And that's going to do it for this video. I do have some things to talk about before I end the video, so if you want to stick around and listen to those, then here you go. So the first thing is that I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. I know I usually only say thank you when we hit milestones, and I mean, we've been hitting a lot of milestones, but the support on these videos are amazing. I read a majority of the comments, so I see the nice ones. I see the really mean ones. I see a lot of them. Usually they're really good though, so I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support. The final thing I want to say is that school has started up for me. Video wise, it shouldn't really impact it. I know right now it's impacting this video though. It's kind of I guess it's having the school effect on me because I was having a hard time getting up and wanting to record this video. So like I said, it really shouldn't have an impact, but if it does, it might just be a missed upload date. I apologize for that in advance if it does happen. And that's all I wanted to say. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video.